Welcome to Books, Booze, and Murder. I'm Anna.
I'm Alexa.
We're two besties who love to read and have an obsession with true crime. Hello.
Hi.
I've missed you.
It's been since our last recording, I think, since we've seen each other.
Yes. We've been busy.
Life is busy. Life is busy, and I'm over it already.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So there's a few points I want to bring up.
Yes.
You have no idea I'm bringing these up.
Nope.
So I have two apologies to make.
What?
One of them is for our listeners because last month, I think we probably should have said, Alexa has plans after recording. We need to just get down to business.
Oh yeah, I was like, boom, 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 boom. Let's go. There was no other time.
Which is not a problem per se, but it's one of those things where I was like, ooh, I'm reading a lot faster. Like, yes, that Jello shot did get to me.
Yeah, that's funny.
Asshole. But I was like, shit, we probably should say like we're more in a rush because you have shit to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have an apology for you.
Okay.
So I realized when you were doing your summary, we had done the have you read anything lately? And I was so flustered because I was like, boom, 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 we got shit to do. I was so fucking rude and I didn't ask you what you're reading lately.
That's okay. I really don't think I've read much of anything lately except for what we've been talking about. Because that's my life right now.
Yeah.
I just cannot seem to pick up a book to save my life.
And that's okay.
It is okay.
Yeah. But I was like, I'm a fucking asshole by not asking Alexa what she's reading.
We're all good. It's all good. It's no big deal.
So I just wanted to put that out there. And then I was also so flustered because last month, February, was our 1-year anniversary.
Yes.
So
yes, it was.
Thank you for a really fun year.
It's been a year.
I have read more books in the last year.
Me too.
Than I have in a really long time.
Yes.
I mean, doing this with you is obviously really fun, but I've had a lot of fun. I've had fun with you reacting to the true crime stories. I've had a lot of fun with you picking out books that I probably never would have given a chance to.
Right. It's fun.
And like when we first started, like we had my little video microphones that echoed. Oops. Which
that was interesting for a minute.
Yeah. I was like, oh, we'll be fine. And then I was editing and I was like, oh shit, it's not fine. And then we gravitated over towards another microphone, which made us sound distant. But I was like, fuck it. Like, I don't have a shit ton of funds, but this is fun. And then, obviously, as we mentioned before, now we have this setup where we have gotten positive feedback as far as the quality. So it's been a year.
Cool.
Yeah. And then our following has definitely grown. Like, I've been keeping track of it, like Instagram.
Yep.
Obviously, like, we follow this as well. But we are, I believe, in like the 70s as far as followers. Yeah, 74 followers.
Cool.
So technically it'd be like 72. No, counting us.
Yes.
Yeah, and we're growing on YouTube. We're growing on Spotify. So it has been a journey and I cannot wait for the future.
It's a journey.
So thank you for dealing with my shenanigans. I appreciate you.
It's been a year, man.
It has indeed. Okay. What have you been reading lately?
Literally just all the books that we've been talking about. All the books that we're already discussing that I can't discuss yet. I'm trying to remember. Like, so right now I'm listening to a book that we're going to do in December because I decided, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to do that because this is actually a really good book and it's a lot of fun. So we're just going to put that one in since I'm already listening to it.
I approve.
Done. Clean my hands of that one.
Yep.
And then, of course, the third Butcher and Blackbird.
Oh my God.
I had to rip through, but it was good, so it was easy.
Yeah.
And then the Rose Code, which we're doing next month.
Spoiler.
We'll give you a little bit of leeway there. Well, they already knew that we were doing the Rose Code too.
Yes, because we got drunk.
We played pong. Yes. We played wine pong. It was fine.
Back in October. Wow.
Yes, that was a long time ago. It was a long time ago, man. And then I am literally pages away from being done with The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden.
That book is so...
That was wacky.
Yeah.
That's wacky already. I'm like, oh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. And I've already hit the twist where I'm like, okay, now I need to finish reading it to get the rest of the twist, please. Let's go.
She already does twists with true crime, so I'm like, well, with crime, so I'm like, fuck, this is gonna be a challenge, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
What have
I
you been reading?
just read Fourth Wing.
I saw that.
I
I'm pretty excited to start listening to it as soon as I'm done listening to Rock, Paper,
Yes!
Scissors. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you and I have both read the Akatar series,
Correct.
which multiple friends were like, "No, you have to read this,"
Mm-hmm.
and I only picked this up because of another book club I'm in.
Right.
I genuinely think that you would like this book too.
So I went, and I think it was like over Christmas time when I was at a craft fair. One of the vendors had said, "Oh, if you like Resand and you like Akatar, you will love Zayden and Fourth Wing." And I'm like, I'm sold.
So, have you watched Venom, the Marvel movie?
Yeah.
The relationships in there remind me of Venom.
Understood. I enjoy that a lot because that's the relationship between the main actor and Venom. I'm
Yes.
forgetting his name
Yeah,
right now. I
yeah.
think it's Tom something,
Tom
but
Hardy. Yeah.
thank you,
Yes.
Tom Hardy.
So his relationship with Venom is very similar to the characters with the dragons involved.
Hilarious.
So yes, it's hysterical. The smut is there, and the smut
Yes.
is like, "Say what?"
Understood. I can handle that.
And then the last page, it's kind of like a Frida McFadden book where you're like, "Say what? Excuse me."
Oh, good twist.
What
I
the
like
fuck?
it. Very
So,
nice.
Now I fully understand what the hype is about and why
Mhm.
there's multiple books.
Mm.
But I have, Alexa, my TBR list
Mhm.
is monstrous.
Mhm.
So I probably won't be able to get to the rest of those books until the fall.
I understand entirely. Because again, I have those on my listening account. I'm just going to start listening to those as I go.
Yeah.
Because unlimited listening hours are great.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
And then, so fun development that you don't know about is I got my husband into listening to Butcher and Blackbird.
Ah, yes.
And he likes it.
Of course he does. Well, of course he does.
Have you listened to the audiobook?
No.
I asked my husband if he could have an Irish accent. Because
I understand already.
Yes.
I totally see where this is going because, yes, it is.
I was like, "You're dreamy."
Perfect.
It's
perfect. I love that. I love that so much. It's great.
Yeah. So I figured I'd lead that in for our book.
I love that.
And before you begin your segment, Mama Kay and Olive, you are not allowed to judge me.
This is a judgment-free zone.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yes.
We established that a long time ago.
You might be seeing me in a whole other light, and I do not care. Just don't judge me. Okay, I'm done. So,
Okey-dokey.
oh yeah, what'd you make us? Because what you made us looks really fucking good.
So, of course, I told you this earlier. I have these really good ideas. I have these grand plans. And then all of a sudden it's 4:15 on a Friday afternoon. I'm calling you, telling you I'm going to be late, and I still haven't picked up all the stuff I need for my trip. So I have to modify the shit out of it, and then I'm also just don't want to actually buy more stuff too. So therein lies. So I'm like, okay, so I have all of this other stuff, and we're going to go with it. So it is probably 75% Pink Whitney. It is a shot of Kettle One grapefruit vodka and a little bit of limoncello liqueur topped with whipped cream and sprinkles and some Skittles because taste the fucking rainbow.
And I'm assuming because this is March, this is your nod to St. Patrick's Day.
This is my hallelujah to St. Patrick's Day.
Cool. Well, good job.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, shit.
Yes. Always good.
That's really interesting.
Yeah? Good? Bad?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. We'll take good.
But we're about to get fucked up, so that's okay.
That's okay too. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
If we need to call your husband to come and pick you up, it's okay.
Not the first time, won't be the last. I missed you. I missed you a lot.
We have fun. We have lots and lots of fun. It's kind of ridiculous sometimes, but it's okay. All right. Let's get this show on the road since I have 3 rather lengthy summaries
Yes, you do.
to read, and
Yep.
I have to practice
Yep.
talking slower because I just kind of like rip through everything usually because I don't like hearing the sound of my own voice, but that's beside the point.
Yep.
So we did the Butcher and Blackbird series. So we start with Butcher and Blackbird. Obviously, that's how this goes.
Mhm.
So this was the first book in this super fun series, and what a great start. This was filled with romance, murder, and I will quote this because it is in the book, accidental cannibalism, and so much more. So let's get some chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream and get started.
Is it chocolate chip cookie dough or is it cookies and cream?
Oh.
Because I thought it was chocolate chip cookie dough first.
And then it was cookies and cream.
yeah.
Someone, you know
Either
what?
way, we need fucking ice cream.
Either way, I'll take either.
Yep.
Either
Yep.
is fine.
Yep.
So let's start by asking, how often do you find your soulmate who has the same hobby as you and the same sexual deviancy? Answer is almost never. We start meeting the Boston Butcher, Rowan Kane, and the Orb Weaver, Sloan Sutherland. We quickly realize that Sloan has an affinity for plucking eyeballs out of people's heads, only if they deserve it, and that Rowan has been completely obsessed with the Orb Weaver and her work, but he did not expect to fall in love so quickly. Coming from a town in Ireland where his mom died and his father was his first kill, Rowan now resides in Boston with his 2 brothers, Lachlan and Fionn, and runs his own successful restaurant. Sloan is a shut-in with a dark past who doesn't let anyone in, but loves to bring people to justice in her own gruesome way. These 2 unlikely individuals meet when they are both on the hunt for the same serial killer. So therein lies the well-deserved killing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then you know what I learned with the audiobook? Fionn.
Fionn.
Yep.
Okay.
I was pronouncing it the exact same way when I was reading the book.
Yep, that makes sense though, because Ireland, I don't think they have long eyes. So that would make sense. But anywho.
Yep.
Fionn.
Fionn.
I'm not gonna be able to say it. I'm
That's
probably
all right.
gonna end up saying Fionn, and I apologize.
If you say it wrong, that's fine because you're being honest. So let's go.
Okay, so Sloan gets to him first, but ends up trapped in a cage. Rowan gets her out and insists on seeing her again. They devise a plan, rather reluctantly on Sloan's part, to meet every summer to hunt another serial killer in true game fashion. The winner gets bragging rights for the coming year. What starts as a friendly competition turns into a lust for each other that neither one will admit to. They hunt 3 different serial killers in competition until they both realize that they are meant for each other and they care for each other. The first is a serial killer that runs a motel, and Rowan pulverizes him with just his fists and almost feels like he chases off Sloan. Not likely.
Yep.
The second is a psycho who runs a winery, feeds Rowan and Sloan, but Sloan is smart enough to not eat the food.
Oh my God.
Because Rowan almost becomes this cannibal's next meal. And there is some hinting that there is something not quite right with the ice cream, which Rowan cannot even think about for a long time. Oh my gosh.
I was dying during this.
Yeah, yeah. During this particular episode, Sloan and Rowan run into a man who seems to be mute and helpless because he was a slave to Mr. Cannibal for so long. Sloan convinces Rowan to hire him at his restaurant and help him find housing. The third murder game, that is important, by the way.
Yeah.
There's a reason I'm saying it.
Yep.
The third murder game, Sloan gets her ass handed to her by this big ass farmer murderer fiend, and Rowan steps in and has to take her to his brother, Fionn, for stitching in a fixed shoulder. Rowan convinces Sloan that they should hunt together as a team and move in together, which they do. Sloan relocates easily because she seems to have a telecommuting job. Sloan and Rowan have to learn to communicate and get past their previous demons in order to make their relationship work. Sloan is unwilling to open up completely because she has never done that before. The only person who knows her wholly is her best friend, Lark. More to come in her next book.
Mm-hmm.
But slowly through their adventures as friends, Rowan is able to help Sloan open up to him. This includes a lot of sex and big gestures, like opening a restaurant, naming it after the 2 of them, and fucking her on one of the tables before the restaurant is even opened. You would think that it couldn't get any better, but of course it isn't over. the man that Rowan gave a job ends up being a crazy cannibal as well and tries to eat Rowan. So, of course, that was a whole thing where Rowan breaks up with Sloan and just to keep her safe. And then she's devastated. And then she's like, wait, something's not right. So she goes and she helps and saves him and all the things. So Sloan has to come to his rescue and they live happily ever after. I don't think I did the end of that book summary like to a T, but
I mean, do you want to discuss the books like in between each summary? Give you a break?
sure. Let's do the discussion of the first book.
Okay.
now.
I still don't mind eating fucking orzo.
Nope, me neither. I like orzo.
Yep. The secret ingredient in that ice cream. Semen.
Yep.
So I did a teaser. So for book club for
Yes,
that, I
yes.
did Butcher and Blackbird. And I remember texting you being like, what the fuck did I just do to myself? I have to give a detailed summary of this for 40 minutes. And I think the first time I read this, well, I've only read this book once. I think my brain didn't allow me to process what that secret ingredient was.
Right.
So I did a little teaser reel to be like, ooh, this. And I did the same thing. Chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream is really
I
yummy.
totally thought it was chocolate chip cookie dough.
I did
too.
too.
And maybe that's why I said chocolate chip cookie dough is because I remember you saying chocolate chip cookie
Yeah.
dough and then everything else just went over my head.
Yeah. So, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's a vanilla-based ice cream anyway.
Yes.
But I
Whole
was
point
like,
of it.
yeah, exactly. So I was like, this is really good. And someone, a virtual friend of mine was like, you're diabolical. And I was like, what? She goes, do you not remember what that ingredient was? And I was like, no. So I had to fucking Google it. Yeah, Google it. And that's when it was like, oh yeah, there's semen in it. And I was like, oopsies. What's wrong with me? And then the accidental cannibalism. So when I read that disclaimer, I was like, okay, like how do you do that? The way it was done was so dark humor-esque, where I just giggled through all of it. Because she's like, dude, don't eat this.
Don't
And
eat
he's
it.
Like,
Don't
what?
eat it.
This is so
This
good.
is awesome. This is so good. It's like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Oh man. But like when they go to Rose and Fion's place and see
Yes.
Rose, that scene, holy fuck.
That was fun.
Like, did you have to Google those piercings?
Yes.
Me too.
Yes.
So
I did.
I was like, okay, I understand one of the three.
Mhm.
And if you haven't read these books, well, I don't know what to tell you. But I had to Google.
Sloan has some piercings on her hoo-ha
Mhm.
that have very special names that are not exceptionally well known.
Yes.
Let's go with that.
Exactly. Yep. So that scene, I was like, say what? Huh? But I was also like, hell yeah, girl, you go get it. To be honest with you, I thought Rose was older.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The way her personality was portrayed in the first book, I was like, oh, you're a little bit older. No.
You know, it's interesting. Reading the third book, I think she aged early because of like going into the circus at 15. You have to really like watch out for yourself. You have to grow up faster. Blah, 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 blah.
That makes sense.
So maybe she was like, it was written as she was portrayed older and she just has that sense of humor.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I thought when it came down to the guy at the dinner table, the fact that Rowan woke up and she was busy at work.
Uh-huh.
But here's the thing. I give her so much credit for the fact that, like, this is so uncomfortable to say, but I also want to talk about it. The way that she takes a piece of body part from, like, let's say the bicep correlates to, like, it was the particular location where that person was killed, right? Where that serial killer killed them.
Yes.
Yeah. So, like, the way that she created a map with the fish
That was
hooks.
wild.
I know. I was
That
like,
was wild. It's like, wow, you are intricate and you are not getting caught by the FBI ever. And you are playing games with them.
Yep.
Wow.
I mean, as you said, they all deserve it.
They all deserve it. That is beside the point.
Yep. Were you losing your shit over the use of the corpse at the farm?
A little bit.
I was like, say what?
I remember being slightly uncomfortable.
I was like, what
Slightly
the
uncomfortable.
fuck is
Yeah.
doing? But also the fact that it gave him a heart attack and he died from that.
Yeah, that was. Whoa. Yep.
So a good friend of ours had told us like we need to really read this book. And then the ending where they eloped. Like that for me, I was like, that's the ending I needed. But I'm really glad that our mutual friend was like, no, you have to read it because I don't know if I've told you this. I went to Target and I looked at it and I was like, this doesn't sound like my cup of tea. So I put it back down.
Bro.
I know what's wrong with me. So I'm really glad that I picked that back up after our friend was like, no, you need to read this. The spice level is like through the roof. So I really enjoyed this book.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. I think for me, and I think all three of these books were like that, where it goes in between the two sides of the story, where it's like you hear the boys' side, you hear the girls' side, boys' side, girls' side, blah, 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 blah. It drives me nuts that they both say the same damn things in their head, where it's like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. That was too much. I shouldn't have. I care so much about her, but I don't understand what to say. Oh, I care so much about him, but I don't know what to do. And it's just like, fucking stop. You both are annoying.
Talk
It's
to one
so
another.
annoying.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I'm like,
But honestly, like I can't speak for your relationship, but I can for mine. So I've been with my husband for 12 years. Holy shit, 12 years.
Yeah.
And we're still talking about our boundaries and we're still talking about what
As you
Okay.
should.
Well,
That's
yeah.
a healthy relationship.
and it changes too. Sorry, Ma. Sorry, Olive. But yes, I do think it's kind of annoying, but at the same time, I can also relate to that. But yeah. What were your overall thoughts on it?
Like I said, I thought it was good. It was fun. I thought the plot was very interesting, very different than what I normally read for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Like I'm definitely the historical fiction
You are.
buff. I love my historical fiction books. Even my just historical books. I love them. For whatever reason, those get me and they get me good. And my Jodi Picoult books.
See,
Love her so
you
much.
get me out of my comfort zone, and I appreciate that. Nothing wrong.
But this was good. Again, I thought the banter was annoying and childish. That was my only problem with it. Like, talk to each other. Please just talk to each other. It's been so long and you are not talking to each other still.
Yeah.
Talk to each other. Say the things to each other, not in your head, because I'm getting annoyed.
Yep.
Ah! Anywho,
Number 2.
on to Leather and Lark. On to Leather and Lark. Now on to the best friend and the older brother. I am glad this one had a different plot to it because this one was just as good with its own twist.
Yes.
This starts with Lark Montag committing her own murder. However, her bestie Sloan is unaware of her permanent deletions, as she likes to call it. She does not like murder. She likes permanent deletions.
Yep.
Unlike Lark, that knows all about Sloane's murderous tendencies and the game that she and Rowan played. This starts with one such deletion of a man who Lark knows to be fondling and raping girls. We discover that Lark herself was fondled inappropriate at prep school, and her best friend Sloane took care of the bastard. This started Sloane's vigilante spree, but Lark's family is no stranger to the cover-up game. They are a notorious family with lots of connections, so covering up murder is a piece of cake. Lark will kill as a hobby, and if it crosses her path. Sometimes she will pretend to be an underage girl, flirt with older guys, and lure them to their deaths via fireworks, or she will accidentally date one and end it via fireworks and a bullet to the brain. I was like, okay, the fireworks that's a gruesome way to go, but power to you.
Yep.
The first encounter we read about is on Halloween, and Lark has run another pedophile off the road and into his watery grave, but now needs a cleanup job. Her stepfather gives her a number. She calls and she waits. Budget Batman, as she likes to call him, shows up, cleans up, and then shoves her in the trunk, which she escapes from and thinks nothing more of it until a few years later when she is invited to a restaurant opening with her best friend, and she runs into her best friend's boyfriend's brother, who happens to be a contract killer for a notorious contract agency. Yes, this is Lachlan, who is also Budget Batman. So what starts as a mutual dislike between Lachlan and Lark turns into a marriage of necessity when Lark's great aunt Ethel's people from her muffin company start showing up dead. Her stepfather thinks it's Lachlan, so they get married to keep him and Rowan and Sloan safe. Not the best idea, but that's my own opinion. I'm going to keep my mouth shut about that. Lachlan is also trying to retire from the contract killer business, and his boss, who is a psycho, will not let him. I mean, I think you have to be slightly psychotic to run a contract killing business anyways, but
he's a whole other level.
He's something else.
Mm-hmm.
She punctuates her offer by feeding Lachlan's boss drugged muffins that knock him out, courtesy of Aunt Ethel, which I thought was hilarious. That had me cracking up. More and more bodies start to pile up. Lachlan is trying to win over Lark and earn her forgiveness for when he put her in the trunk. Larkin is a musician and has somehow become the inheritor of her aunt's muffin business and is married to, only legally, a contract killer. They end up finding the murderer only after Ethel has passed away due to said killer, and Lark is kidnapped. Lachlan, of course, realized a long time ago that he was in love. That he was in love with Lark Kane and furiously went to look for her. He almost loses her in a giant oven, but is able to kill the bastard, who happens to be the brother of one of the serial killers that Sloan and Rowan took out and was seeking redemption. The ending is adorable because Lachlan offers Lark divorce papers for a true marriage, and she gets so fucking pissed because she obviously loves him back. They stay married and live their own twisted version of life. And I gotta say, that last final scene where where I was like, oh, I think that's too much for me. That was a lot.
To be very blunt and transparent,
that was a lot.
Pegging is not my thing.
No, thank you.
And I'm not giving that definition, so you may Google it. Pegging is not my thing. No.
Nope. That was, I was slightly uncomfortable reading that last scene, but I'm like, I have to read it.
Yeah.
I am very uncomfortable with this, though.
Yeah. I mean, hey, we're not yucking someone else's yum.
No, that's not my cup of tea.
No.
That is all I'm saying. That's not for me.
No. I really loved that she's just a creative being.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So the fact, so I read this book a while ago. I read this in September when we went on our impromptu vacation in a way. I busted through this book. But I thought it was hysterical that she murdered someone and then
made a craft out of something of theirs.
Made a table. And then
okay.
What was it? It was part of the table came apart or came down. Someone who's read this recently is like, bitch,
No, wasn't it behind a painting in a safe?
Well,
they had all of her stuff.
Clearly, it's been a while since we read this book.
But there was a table as well.
Yeah,
that was a craft that had someone else's.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Was when he started smelling. Someone started smelling something, and she was like, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about." So you had mentioned in the last one, you really wish they had talked to one another. I really fucking wish that Lark talked with Sloan because the two of them are best friends, and it's hey, you both have the same kind of hobby. Come on now. Yeah, and then the teeth with the pizza thing. I was like, dude, come on. But we were warned, to be honest.
We are very well warned at the beginning of every single one of these books that it's these are gruesome. Don't read these if you get queasy.
Exactly. I thought that Aunt Ethel,
she was great.
I want to be her when I grow up.
Yeah, she was wonderful. Little spicy little feline. I don't even know what else to call her, but she was spicy.
I want to be her when I grow up.
She was great.
Can we be her when we grow up?
Mhm.
Fuck it, we'll never grow up.
Terrorize our future nursing home. The Aunt Ethels.
Yes, that's what we're all about. Yes, I love it.
Oh my gosh, craziness.
I will say my only complaint about this book is it's the most plot driven. I like my smut.
Oh, see, I like this book because it was so plot driven.
not a bad
like
thing.
that one.
It's not a bad thing.
I like the smut because obviously there was plenty of
Oh
smut.
my-
But I was definitely like, okay, this has more of a plot to
Yeah,
it, which is kind
definitely
of like
does.
why in the other, like in the first book, it was, oh, I really like the fact that they had the murder and that was every chapter was their own version of what that looked like. And this one, it was, it's funny, this one is so compacted. Like there was like the couple instances early on where it was budget Batman and then figuring out who each other is for the restaurant opening, and then all of a sudden they're married. And
Yeah.
then it's the marriage in a short period of time. Like it's not a very long drawn out process like the first book is. Like
Yeah.
the first book is years because they do a different murder every summer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was still good.
It was still good.
I love Brynne Weaver. I love Brynne Weaver.
She's fun.
She is so
She's
much
fun.
fun. The
Fun.
creativity in her brain.
Yeah. I'm almost terrified to go and step into that a little bit farther because this is some of this is a lot.
It is, but the way she writes,
It's good.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All
For sure.
right, number 3.
Number 3, Scythe and Sparrow.
This one just
which-
came out.
This is the one that just came out last month.
Mm-hmm.
And you ripped through it in, I think, 3 days.
I think I read like 80 to 90% of it in one day.
Mhm.
This was so good.
This was a good one. This was fun.
And I've loaned it out to 2 other people and they've already read it.
There you go. There you go. I just simply don't have time.
Well,
And of course, like,
again,
and I was able to finish this. I think I finished this in a week. It might have been, I think, depending. I'm trying to remember.
when you take into consideration the fact that you're a kindergarten teacher this year and you're doing home renovations, that's a lot. So I think the fact that you read it in a week, considering your busy schedule,
Mhm.
that's still pretty fucking good.
Take what we can get.
Exactly.
Take what we can get.
Yeah.
All right. Book number 3,
Cool.
Scythe and Sparrow. And the third book is done. And if you have read this through to the entirety, it leaves you thinking that there might be a fourth in the making. It totally sounds like there might be. It, at minimum, alludes to an event that happened in the first book with Rowan and Sloan. This third book story does expand from the first book through the second book, but it follows the story of the third Kane brother, Fionn, and a circus performer and tarot card reader named Rose, nicknamed the Sparrow for her death-defying performance on a motorcycle in a metal cage. Rose also has an affliction for helping women who come from poor relationships. Not poor as in like money poor, poor as in you're getting abused and beaten and please go do better. I will help you. So she helps them take flight by providing them the means to kill their awful spouses or partners. But Rose begins this story by wanting to take matters into her own hands and offing these awful men herself because the last woman she tried to help ended up being killed by her abusive partner. Rose's first attempt at murder does not go as planned when she tries to kill Matt Cranwell near Hartford, Nebraska, but ends up only mutilating his eye and getting a broken leg in the process. In her own effort to help herself, she goes to the nearest clinic she can find, which coincidentally is run and owned and operated by Fionn Kane. She sets off all the alarms, and Fionn, thinking it's the raccoon again, so he bolts over but realizes that it's Rose and she needs help. He calls an ambulance, scrubs in for her surgery, and sees her through recovery. Rose obviously can't travel with the circus, so Fionn offers to have her come stay at his house while she recovers. While she is recovering, her and Fionn grow closer and closer and both realize, without telling each other, obviously, that they each drive the other mad and they both want to jump each other's bones. It becomes even more obvious when Rose attempts another murder and succeeds, but needs help getting rid of the body and truck. So she calls Fionn, and without flinching, he helps her cover up the murder of a nurse's abusive boyfriend. Fionn is, of course, hiding out in Nebraska after his last failed relationship where he proposed and she said no. Woof. This puts him in the perfect spot for when Rowan and Sloan had their yearly game and went after the horrible farmer in the first book, where they both got their asses handed to them, but did eventually escape and were able to get one of the captives out. But then Rowan and Sloan went to Fionn's house, where Rose was very untrusting and lying in wait. That was the first time they all met up and the beginning of the budding friendship between Rose, Sloan, and Lark. Shortly after, Rose and Fionn enter into a friends with benefits relationship where the sex is, of course, amazing for both of them. After Rose is healed, she goes back off to join the circus, and Fionn flies out to meet her at most of her stops. Now, I don't know about you, but a friends with benefits relationship, you drive maybe an hour for that type of shit.
Yeah.
You don't hop on a plane and go all over the country chasing after this one girl.
Yeah.
Just saying. Just saying.
I mean, I think I was with friends with benefits. Sorry, Ma, again. Once. Fucking worst thing.
Yeah, it's a bad thing. Like, it's definitely just shouldn't do it sometimes.
No.
It just doesn't never ends well.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see in this one. It ends fabulously.
Oh, yes, it does.
So it is obviously more than just fucking, because they are flying many miles for a booty call. Not likely. And Rose continues helping battered women by offing their horrible partners for them. Fionn and Rose make a trip to Boston for Rowan's second restaurant to open. They are there for the unfortunate incident when Rowan and Sloan break up due to the abduction, reunification, the wedding, Lark and Lachlan's nuptials, and it's during the most recent visit when a Fright Fest is happening in Boston. Fionn makes his way there. Word is that Rowan has offered Rose a job at the new restaurant, and as a girl who never had her own permanent home and ran away from home when she was 15, she realized that she has been running from something she thought she did not want for so long. At Fright Fest, Rose runs into Matt Cranwell, her first victim, who has been trying to track her down since she made him lose his eye. They have their final showdown in the funhouse, where Fionn coincidentally was coming to pick Rose up and helps her finish Matt Cranwell off. Rose and Fionn essentially dissolve their friends with benefits relationship, fuck like wild animals in the funhouse, and then Fionn is forced to call the worst person ever, Leander Mays, or Lachlan's boss, the head of the assassin organization, ruthless bastard, for the cleanup job. Fionn obviously owes him big time and ends up having to work a contract job with Leander as the mending crew that lasts for months, and it's overseas. And of course, Fionn can't say anything to Rose, Rowan, Lachlan, or anyone. So he essentially has to break up with Rose and then leave her hanging with no explanation after they both admitted how much they mean to each other. Idiots. Right before he is about to leave is when Lark gets kidnapped by her stalker, and they all rush to help her. Rose ends up getting stabbed, slipping into a coma, and Fionn is forced to leave before she wakes up. With Sloan's help, Fionn begins sending letters to Rose with a tarot card in each letter proclaiming his love and that he will never let her go again. When he finally returns to the States, he begs Rose to meet him in Maine. She does, and they reignite their relationship. No rules, no parameters, just a complete relationship with undying love for each other. We end our story in a cabin in the woods and a proposal from Fionn and a nice sex scene in a sex swing made by the Suture Sisters or Fionn's crochet gang in Boston at their new house. And that's the end of that.
The Crochet Sisters. So the Suture Sisters.
Suture Sisters
Oh my God.
crocheting the sex swing was hilarious.
The sex swing. The
Oh,
crochet
funny.
sex swing.
Oh gosh, so funny.
That scene. Okay, so to give you like So I'm sitting on our couch, right?
Uh-huh.
And so to give like to give you like an idea. So I'm sitting on the couch. My husband's sitting at his computer. So I'm
Yep.
only like a few feet away.
Sure.
And I'm reading this the Suture Sisters scene and I'm losing it.
Uh-huh.
Like I am
Uh-huh.
I am laughing
Uh-huh.
hysterically. And my
Mhm.
husband turns around and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "This scene is so good."
You have to read the book.
Yes, and if you haven't read the book, you have to.
Uh-huh.
Because this scene had me cackling.
It's so good. It's so good.
Spoiler alert.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Which is part of our podcast.
Yep.
We're going into detail.
Yep.
The fact that all of these women are talking about the sex swing and
Oh my
what they do to
gosh.
contribute. Oh, I have a whole template for like
For a plant hanger, you could
Yes.
use that. Oh, you should use this type of yarn. It's so strong. I can have my husband make a beam for it. It's like, oh my gosh. Okay, then.
Were you losing your shit because I was
so
losing my
fun- It was so funny. I'm like, these are the craziest fucking old ladies. Because they are legitimately old ladies.
Yeah.
They're crocheting. Like, I crochet. I know how to crochet.
And one of them is like, "I'll get my husband involved so he can build a frame." I was like,
Oh my
"What?"
Gosh, hilarious. So funny.
So overall, I thought the way that Brynne Weaver just weaved all three storylines together.
That was fun. I love that.
I was like, "That's genius.
Mm-hmm.
That is genius."
Mm-hmm.
Then wait, Barbara the raccoon.
Barbara the raccoon. Yeah, the raccoon that keeps breaking into Fionn's clinic, named Barbara, has become adopted by Rose and has joined the circus with her with the poodles. And she carries it around and walks it on a harness. Hilarious. Oh my gosh. Like, good gracious. We're there.
I was
So
like,
funny.
I don't.
So funny.
I was like, okay, it's a bit much to walk a raccoon on a harness. Like it.
Nope. Disagree. Obviously not for Rose.
Oh my God. But I was. And if
So
you look
good.
at Brynne Weaver on social media and
Mhm.
people on social media carrying a raccoon, I was like, what?
And now we understand why.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes. So
So
I
funny.
just, the fact that Barbara got a name.
Fionn gave Barbara the name.
No,
Yes, he did.
maybe.
Yes, he did, because he named her.
Oh,
I thought he named her.
maybe. I've read multiple books since reading this.
I thought he named her because he couldn't just keep naming her the raccoon, so
True.
he named her Barbara.
Okay, true. I
Hilarious. Hilarious that he called her Barbara, too.
know.
Babs.
Of all the names.
Oh, my word alive. Just ridiculous. Mm-hmm.
The impaling part.
That was hilarious. I'm like, you're an idiot. Well done.
When I read the trigger warning or the warning for
Mhm,
that
mhm,
about
mhm.
impalement, I was like, what the actual fuck?
Mhm, mhm.
And then I read it and knowing it's a guy who's really doped up and Rose was like, no, I thought he'd be dead by now.
Uh-huh.
And the fact that he trips over a rock and impales himself, I was like, what did I just read?
Uh-huh.
What the fuck did I just read?
That's an accidental death. That is not murder. That's an accidental death.
But the way it was done, I was like, what?
I know. It's like Fionn just gets there, and all of a sudden, he's running on this treadmill, and his heart's still going and going and going and going. She's like, I thought he'd be dead by now.
Well, I really appreciated the fact that he came in, he was visiting her, and he was like, oh, she's using the treadmill that I bought her. That's great. But wait, she's going way too
fast.
Exactly, way too fast.
Yep.
And then he was like, and she's like, no, seriously, come in. Like, you need to know the full story.
And then he has him running laps outside, and then all of a sudden he trips and he fucking falls on shit. And it's like, you're dumb. You're dumber.
So it's, again, like her dark humor where it didn't bother me. What's wrong with me?
Oh, there's nothing wrong. It was just, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, that happened.
And I'm not going to be honest with you. Shit. I'm forgetting the name of this fucking clown, the black and white clown. Have you seen all those memes on social media?
No.
Okay. So this clown, I think Brynne Weaver is basing when she's dressed up as a clown.
Yes.
Is off this character. And this
Yep, okay.
Yeah, with the sharp teeth.
Yep.
So I'm just thinking during the scene when he knocks on her door and she has all the makeup done on her face, but then is wearing lingerie. I'm like, what? But it was the dark humor, especially with them fucking. Oh my gosh. And so I did loan this book out to a couple coworkers because I got them lured into this book.
Sure.
And one of my coworkers, she was like, I'm never going into a fun house again in my life. She goes, I don't like haunted houses. And I'm like, me neither. And she's like, but after reading this book, there is no way in hell I'm ever going in. But I was just like, holy shit, they're literally fucking on this bed while this guy has disemboweled. And then the fucking hot dog reference. I was like, I can't. I wouldn't be able to do that.
No. No, thank you.
What did you think of the tarot cards and how connected she was to that?
That was interesting. I thought that was really interesting, the way that she like roped all the tarot card reading into that. And then it was like, and how Rose kind of interpreted it as she went along. And then, of course, how Fionn interpreted each one as he sent it to her. And I'm like, that's actually like really cute that he's like trying that hard to understand all these tarot cards. And then she's, of course, at the very end says, this is actually different when it's flipped upside down.
Yeah.
I was like, there you go. There you go.
I personally think, like, the ending to this book, there were 3 epilogues.
Yes.
The bonus.
Yes.
And I was like, say what? So the fact that when it came to Sloane's story, right? How do I link this all together? It was the girlfriend from Sloane's story.
Yes.
When they went to the farmhouse.
Yes.
That girl, I was like, holy shit. Like, she's been following along. I cannot wait for this spinoff.
I know. I'm like, there's going to be one, right? There's going to be one, right?
I cannot wait. Like, I'm going to get so involved in this series. Like, she cannot just stop writing. I'm not allowing it.
It sounds like she doesn't plan to either. So,
yeah.
Keep them coming.
I really enjoyed the series.
This was fun.
I thought it was unhinged.
Well, duh.
I really appreciated the fact that all 3 of the women came together to support one another.
That was cool. That was a very cool, like, bonding moment for all 3 women, for sure.
And the fact that Rose had so much support from the other 2.
Oh, yeah.
I don't understand the dinosaur love that Rowan has. Because talking about the apple, how he dressed up, I was like, why would you do that on a car ride?
A dragon. It was a dragon.
Dragon, yes.
I know. I'm like, wait. I don't understand what you're doing right now. I was really trying to figure that out where I was like, I don't quite understand what's going on.
I don't think Sloan did either.
Obviously not. But he just
No.
wanted to chase her through the forest as a dinosaur and then fuck her on the forest floor. I'm like, oh, okay.
I mean, to be fair, their connection in the first book where he dressed up in his dinosaur one.
Oh my gosh.
But that was also a bit much. Like going back to Credence.
Mm-hmm.
I was like the double penetration. Like,
no. Nope.
But it's also one of those things where like you read that shit and you're fascinated, but you're like, I'll live vicariously through them, but I won't apply it to my real life.
That's yep. I agree completely.
I cannot wait for her next book. I can't wait for the spinoff.
It's exciting.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed.
It was fun. That was a fun book.
Good job on your summaries.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Alexa, your drink was very powerful.
Yay.
Oh my fucking Lord.
I figured it probably was going to be considering what I put in it.
Yeah. You're handling it better than me, that's for sure. Okay. Jesus fucking Christ. So let's switch over to true crime. And I will say, knowing that the book portion was going to be longer, I definitely tried to be like, okay, I need to make the true crime portion a little bit shorter.
Just a little bit shorter. We knew this was going to be a long one.
Yeah. So sources for this are, we're going to travel abroad this month. Not very abroad, but abroad. So it's the Mexico Daily News Daily, excuse me. Mexico News Daily, the LA Times, the Miami Herald, Medium, the Back of the Archive YouTube channel, which was very helpful, Brutal Nation podcast, and then a variety of articles that pretty much said the same thing.
Okay.
So we're traveling abroad this month. So I'm going to be honest with you. It's been a hot minute since I did this, so we're just going to go on this ride together.
I like it.
Okay, so we're going to go to Ecatepec, Mexico.
Okay.
So it is the most popular suburb that's about 13 miles north of Mexico City, with a population of about 1,645,352 people.
Okay.
So it is not friendly towards women. Like, I cannot make that more clear. So between 2014 and 2017, almost 9,000 women were murdered in Mexico. And of that number, over 1,000 took place in Ecatepec. So it's...
Hi, Luke.
Hi, Luke, man. Alexa's husband was great, and he took Luke for a walk.
And he's still not tired.
That's all right. I have 2 raptors of my own that are like, hey.
He's a toddler.
So all this is to say that you don't want to walk the streets alone as a female. So Juan Carlos was born in 1985 and unfortunately did not have the best childhood. His mom was a single mom, which, let me say, you can still have a great childhood with a single parent.
It's definitely it definitely puts you at a greater disadvantage.
Yes.
But there are some successful stories of people who have single parents.
Exactly. So I just want to make that clear. Yeah. However, in this case, this is a case where it's like, okay, like not the best. So his mom was a single mom who would bring men into the home and force Juan to watch her have sex.
Oh, no thank you.
He'd also alleged that a babysitter sexually abused him and he was forced to dress up as a woman.
No thank
which
you.
I was like, this is the most random shit ever, but okay, this is the fact. At 10 years old, he fell down the stairs, which resulted in a brain injury. And in school, he struggled and had a hard time holding down a job. So he was enlisted in the army, but that didn't really last long. So I guess the overall point for that was that whatever he set his sights to, just he couldn't keep. And it's not clear when he became obsessed with being violent towards women, but I can understand his hatred. So he was just like, fuck women. So maybe his mom took out her abuse on him because he was a product of rape. So let's also meet Patricia. So, in case you haven't kind of grasped onto everything, we're going to cover a couple who are just awful. I like Rowan and I like Sloan a lot more. And I love all the other couples too.
Well,
but here we go.
They all have good reasons, good things that they do, and they only murder, murderers.
Exactly.
Fine.
So they met in 2008. And she also had a rough childhood as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking poverty.
Mm-hmm.
And she'd also turned to sex work to get by.
Sure.
But also somewhat similar to Juan Carlos, she also had a brain injury. And she also had, with a brain injury, she had a mental disability. So she wasn't fully functional.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, she also struggled in school.
Mm.
So
Right.
and
All those little factors play into you're not being a successful adult.
Exactly. 100%. So, and she was also allegedly abused by a family member as a child, and she sought validation from men.
Mm-hmm.
So Juan told her that he was a hitman for a local mafia. He was full of fucking shit.
Uh-huh.
And she was really attracted to that, and they hit it off.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd soon have 4 children together.
Oh.
So Patricia...
That's a bad idea. No, it's a bad idea.
Listeners, I don't know if you can hear Alexa's husband, but he's like, oh, that sounds great.
It's a bad choice. That's bad choice.
Oh, yeah. So this is just a recipe for disaster.
Mm-hmm.
So Patricia essentially ran a thrift shop that also had food. And Juan Carlos traded perfumes for cell phones. And this would all be a front for what they really were. And this is why I picked this case.
Mm-hmm.
They were serial killers and cannibals.
Ew. Sorry, inhaled too fast. Ew. No, thank you. Cannibalism is yucky. No.
So
That's yucky.
I'm giggling because Alexa's drink was very strong. All this shit is fucked up.
It's messed up. It's all messed
It's
up.
all so fucked up. That's why I said this episode is going to be really fucked up. So, as mentioned before, I can't stress this enough. Ecatepec is not female friendly. So, women began to disappear, and their mothers got together to figure out what was going on. So, all these moms are like, my child's disappearing. What the hell? They noticed that in their daughters' phones, the number for Patricia was a common trend.
Ooh.
And this was reported, and the police started to keep a watch on the couple. Now, what I can say is, like, for research for this case, a lot of it was kind of sketchy. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to click on that. I'm not going to click on that. Because again, like, we don't have access to like newspapers.com.
Right.
But like all of these sources were saying the same thing, where the mothers were like, my child's disappearing. What the fuck is happening?
Mm-hmm.
So Juan and Patricia were actually watched. So I think it was one of those things where like that trend of Patricia, like, oh, like, okay, let's watch them.
Mm-hmm.
They were watched until October 4th, 2018. And that is when they were arrested.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they were arrested, I was just like, ugh. So Patricia was pushing a stroller down the street when officers approached them. They asked to take a look at what was in the stroller, and they most likely regretted it.
Oh, no.
Because instead of a child, hidden under blankets and plastic bags were human remains.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Nope. Mm-mm. That's yucky.
So once they were taken to custody, they sang like canaries. They're like, we'll tell you everything.
Of course.
And what they have to say is as fucked up as Brynne Weaver's mind. Sorry.
Okay, so
Brynne Weaver, I really adore
shit like
you.
this really happened.
Yes, exactly.
Yucky.
Exactly. So Patricia was Juan's runner.
Mm-hmm.
She'd approach women by saying, come to our home. We'll sell you whatever it may be that they really needed.
Ay.
And once inside the apartment, he would stun his victims with martial arts style joint locking techniques before he used a large knife to kill,
Ew.
sexually assault with said knife,
No.
and then cut them up.
Oh, yucky.
Brynne Weaver, I blame you for this shit.
Yucky.
So here's where we get to our first victim. She was a 22-year-old woman, and they offered her a job as a housekeeper, but they wanted to have an interview first at their home. Which, when you think about it, when this shit isn't happening, that's pretty standard.
Yeah.
She arrived, and Juan Carlos abused her before she was, sorry, Alexa, beheaded. Patricia waited outside with the children as this was happening. So I guess
Wonderful.
like if we're gonna think as positively as possible in this really fucked up situation,
The kids were not part of it?
exactly.
Ha.
So when the crime was done, Patricia would go inside to help dismember the body.
No.
And then cook part of the remains for their dogs.
Ew, no.
And then used other bits to make stew for themselves.
Ew, that's yucky.
Yeah, it is really yucky. That's why I have to disassociate when I tell you this tale.
Probably fed that to their children too. Blech.
Yep.
Yuck.
When they were done, they disposed of the rest of the body in an empty lot in the neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
Second victim. It was a neighbor in the building. She was a teen girl who struggled with huffing.
Oh.
Yeah. She was lured in after Patricia promised her money. Addiction. Addiction is bad. Do not get involved with addiction. Do not recommend. But when she arrived, she met the same fate as the first victim. Then on April 12th, 2012, Patricia approached a 13-year-old named Luz, who lived in the same apartment building. Patricia was trying to sell Luz costume jewelry, and since the two knew each other, Luz went along with it.
Sure.
After Luz was found to be missing, a search party went out, and Juan Carlos took part in it.
You know, those people are sick.
Yeah.
People are sick.
Oh, yeah. So Juan had actually been a coworker of Luz's father. Her dismembered body would be found a year later.
Oh, that poor family.
That same month, 23-year-old Arlette, who also lived in the same building as the couple, went missing. So, yeah, they're in an apartment building. They're all together. The last known victim was 28 when she disappeared in 2018, along with her 2-month-old child. So just to clarify, it's 2 separate victims.
Yep.
Again, like with Mexico and sources, I was like, let's not give my computer a virus.
Right. Please and thank you.
So after killing the woman, the baby was sold to another couple for $15,000 pesos. Well, 15,000 pesos. So I will admit, I did this research probably back in like January. I was like, okay, like we have a busy month ahead, busy year ahead of us. So at the time of doing this research, that would account for $730.04 US. So it's probably changed a little bit since then, but that's
Probably
what it
not
was.
that much though.
And they would later be arrested, the couple that bought the child.
Oh.
Months later, they'd be arrested. Rightfully so. So this disappearance...
Do that.
Yeah, I know, right? So this disappearance was the final clue for law enforcement to solve the disappearances of many women around the neighborhood. Patterns of their last steps were the same, so they all went to meet up with a woman who promised to sell them something. They traced where the 28-year-old's phone last pinged. So that's how they kind of figured it out. And they were able to get a hit on the location. They did this with the other 2 victims' phones as well. All 3 had been located at the couple's apartment before they were reported missing.
Makes sense.
Like, they're fucking... So, this is fucking disgusting. So, police searched their apartments where they found freezers, buckets, cardboard boxes, and cement bags containing remains. I guess, like, the one bit of solace I have is that the children were forbidden from opening our refrigerator. They're like, nope, you're not allowed to do this.
I guess.
I'm trying to think as positively as possible. God damn it.
I can spin that and make it awful where they're starving their kids and they're not letting them in the fridge because they know they'll eat everything in the fridge.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying. Devil's advocate. what?
This is hard enough story. Here we go. So they'd stay in the home until the best moment to not attract attention before they dumped the bodies in the lot. The couple had been planning to move, and the location they were moving to contained the same. I was like, you motherfuckers. So disposal of the remains in the empty lot was because they'd hoped animals would take care of the rest. When searched, sure enough, law enforcement found the remains of many women and identified them by their clothing and traces of DNA. When confessing, Juan admitted, quote, "I prefer my little dogs eat meat from those women to them continuing to breathe my oxygen," end quote.
Wow. You're just such a gentle person. You're just a wonderful human. Don't breathe my oxygen.
I know. Well, he's no longer doing that. So
that's good to hear.
Well, I wrote this a while ago, so we're on this ride together. He'd then go on to say that he'd keep killing if set free. So I was like, you deserve to be like put on death penalty. Like you're at that level. And yes, I recognize people have different opinions of the death penalty, but if you know you're gonna keep killing, you fucking deserve it.
And if you're gonna just stay in jail for the rest of your life, like that's controversial as well, but like my taxpayer dollars are literally supporting you to stay in jail and get 3-course meals, and not 3-course meals, obviously. I'm exaggerating slightly, but
well, who the fuck knows after all the CO drama in New York State?
I'm cranky about all of that right now. I'm cranky about people who stay in jail for life and are frequent flyers and are just get taken care of. Yeah, it's a dangerous place, but like you have healthcare in jail. You have food in jail. Like,
I mean, devil's advocate, I guess, for pretty much full transparency. Like, we do have a friend in CO, like who's a CO, and right now in New York State in March of 2025,
they're getting fucked.
It's a fucking shit show.
They're getting fucked hard, man.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where I don't think it's an easy answer from either side.
No.
Okay. So when talking to police, Juan expressed no remorse whatsoever. I'm like, you're a piece of fucking shit.
So you're a sociopath. We
don't record on camera these episodes, but I'm nodding my head.
Not right now.
So he claimed he was getting revenge on women because of his childhood.
Okay. Not a good excuse, bud.
So they're serial killers. Numbers differ. Patricia claimed they'd killed at least 10 women, while Juan admitted to 20. And his goal...
Wow, he had a goal.
Yeah, he did. It was to kill 100 women. And getting an exact number just wasn't possible.
Nope.
So why were they not suspected? Neighbors were used to seeing Juan walking around the streets with garbage bags. We also have to really consider the lack of police presence in general in the area. Like, we have to remember, this is a completely different country than the United States and around the world. Like, we can only really take into consideration what we know.
I'm sorry, but it's Mexico.
Exactly.
I'm going to give that stereotype. It's Mexico.
I had my honeymoon in Cancun, Mexico, and we only left our resort on a bus.
That's the only way you do it.
Wait, we left to go inland on a bus. When we went to another island off of Mexico, we paid for an extra boat to bring us over.
Right.
But other than that, we stayed at our resort.
Oh, yeah. You don't leave the all-inclusive resorts.
Yeah.
You don't do it.
Exactly. So we have to take into consideration the lack of police presence in general in the area, which made it really easy for Juan Carlos and Patricia to get away with what they did. So later in the investigation, it was discovered that some of the victims' bones had been sold to dark magic enthusiasts to use in rituals and ceremonies.
Understood.
Now, here's the thing. You and I both really enjoy... I'm not going to name them just because, like... I don't want to destroy a small business, but we love a small business in Salem, Massachusetts.
Mhm. That's all about the witchy witchness.
Exactly.
Yes.
So it's one of those things where I personally recognize that to get your hands on bones, like there are some very ethical ways to do this,
Mm-hmm.
but that wasn't the case in this case. So
That's not necessarily. I feel like that's not necessarily Wiccan. That's
True.
more satanic.
True.
Like, I could be very wrong about that.
Yeah,
but
we're
I
not
feel like-
professionals.
no, I will not claim to be a professional. I am not going to look it up right now because I don't want to. But I definitely feel like there's a fine line between that.
Mhm.
And I don't think Wiccans
No.
use human bones. I could be, again, very wrong about it.
Neither of us are Wiccan, but we really do enjoy a few businesses that are into the witchy shit.
Yes.
Which is why I bring up that we love Salem, Massachusetts,
Mhm.
but we can't speak for small businesses.
Correct.
But we like to be as kosher as possible.
Trying.
So the community was harsh on the police in their investigation, which I'm just kind of like, lack of resources does not.
It's tough when you don't have the manpower to do the job.
Exactly. A reporter at one point stood outside the empty lot that had crime scene tape. Crime.
Crime scene tape.
Alexa, your drink was powerful. God damn
welcome.
it.
You're welcome.
Crime scene tape up, but there was no one from law enforcement standing watch to ensure the crime scene didn't get contaminated.
Of course not.
So again, it goes
Again.
back to resources.
Lack of manpower. Yep.
So in this particular report, supporting footage shows clothing still laying around. So they didn't have the resource to gather everything up and be like, okay.
Bag and tag.
Exactly. So this was not the first time that community members had complained about the lack of police presence in the neighborhood. 6 months before the couple was arrested, tenants living in the same building complained about a foul smell that was coming from the drains from the couple's apartment.
Yucky.
Exactly. And nobody investigated the cause. So the theory is the smell was from the cleanup after a murder.
I can only imagine.
The only way police could confirm the crimes was because of the couple confessing to killing, torturing, and selling the remains. So that's really where a lot of this information came from. Was Juan Carlos was like, I'll lay it out for you.
So who knows how accurate all this information actually
and that's why I thought it was really important to bring up like the mental health aspect of it.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Patricia said that Juan Carlos was the brains of the operation, which considering her background too, I'm like, okay, like I get it. A formal mental evaluation was done on her and they found that she had limited intelligence and experienced delirium that had been most likely spurred on by Juan. So that was part of why I picked this. I was like, okay, like clearly way lower of intelligence as what was in the books, but it was like, this is a really deadly combination that came together in the worst way. The theory is she participated in the crimes so she wouldn't be rejected by Juan Carlos.
That makes sense too.
So he was diagnosed with personality disorder and psychosis, and he was proud of what he'd done and admitted he wouldn't stop if he was set free, which I mentioned earlier. And his first wife, which I couldn't find any information. I was like, what the hell? First wife? Say what?
Okie dokie then.
So his first wife left him, which was another reason why he hated
should.
women. Exactly. I just think that like when you have a mental thing going on and then you have all these negative occurrences with women, it's like no wonder, but it's also like, oh, there should have been resources available to you to keep you kind of away from the general population.
Yeah, maybe.
So the couple was charged with murder, obviously, femicide, violation of burial and respect for human remains laws, and illegal adoption. And some of the remains discovered belonged to women who had disappeared over 5 years earlier.
Disappointing.
So, oh my gosh, yeah. So through a series of sentencing, the couple was sentenced to 327 plus 40 years in prison and were charged with femicide. And they were also ordered to pay fines of 56,420 pesos and 193,508 pesos in compensation for damages. When it came to the human trafficking for the baby, they were sentenced to 4 years and 6 months in prison.
Mm-hmm.
During the trial, they showed no emotion, and during their sentencing, they continued. They were laughing.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, which we can relate to, when someone's laughing in trial, you're like, fuck you. Fuck you. So they were pissed, obviously. In 2022, Alexa, goddamn you.
You're welcome.
In 2023, families became upset to learn that Netflix wanted to make a documentary series about this case. Now, here's the thing. On the Next Fitness thing, I did a true crime class. It was about Gabby Petito, which we're not going to go into all that. But what I can say is Netflix does a really good job with the true crime documentaries. However, if families don't agree to go on, no one should be making money off of that.
No.
In the case for Gabby Petito, which I don't know, unless like we have a book that resembles that, I'm not going to cover it.
I was going to say, I don't know what the crime is, so.
Yeah, I'll fill you in on later.
Yeah, we'll talk.
But unless a family agrees to talking on camera about it, there shouldn't be a reason why there should be a Netflix documentary.
Right.
And this goes for other true crime shows like 2020 and other things like that. But the families were like, no, we're not going on camera for it. So one mother did speak out about how Netflix staff negotiated with Juan to produce a series. And as you may think, she was upset over how damaging this would be, especially when victims' families don't get anything out of it, and it's for the benefit of the criminal, and it would re-victimize her family by exposing the case.
Yeah.
Now, neither of us work for Netflix.
Nope.
So we can't speak to any compensation. We can't speak to any of that.
Right.
But again, going to the fact that like when you have a documentary, I will tend to side with the documentaries that feature family members who are talking about it rather than not.
Sure.
So I just want to make that very clear. So during her statement, this family member asked that the project be stopped. A National Action Party member, so I think that's down in Mexico, stated there should be regulations that if there's a series about murders and drug trafficking, royalties should be paid to the victims, which I tend to agree with. Absolutely.
I agree completely.
And a book has been written about Juan, and the author interviewed other inmates as well. And if the two mentions of the book align, this particular author has written quite a few books about other serial killers as well. So I guess like my point in bringing that up is like this author has done that, but I'm also like, is this really as kosher as it should be? But that is the story of Juan Carlos and Patricia as fucked up individuals.
That is extremely fucked up.
I don't know. I think that when it comes to content like what we read in the Butcher and Blackbird series, so much more kosher. But I was also like, how can I write something similar? And that's what came up. But yeah, I really hope my computer doesn't have viruses on it, because that was one where I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But yes,
seriously.
so that is the true crime that I picked to go along with this.
Wow. Oh shit.
Yep.
Okie dokie then.
That one kind of destroyed me a little bit.
It kills your soul a little bit.
I'm a human being, I promise.
We're there. It's fine.
Yep.
All right. So next month, April, we are reading The Rose Code by Kate Quinn.
And if anyone hasn't seen our video, this is both on TikTok and it's on Instagram of us picking this book by Wine Pong.
We had so much fun with this.
We did.
We had a grand old time with this. But here's our synopsis. This is from Goodreads. 1940. As England prepares to fight the Nazis, 3 very different women answer the call to mysterious country estate Bletchley Park, where the best minds in Britain train to break German military codes. Vivacious debutante Osla is the girl who has everything: beauty, wealth, and the dashing Prince Philip of Greece sending her roses. But she burns to prove herself as more than a society girl and puts her fluent German to use as a translator of decoded enemy secrets. Imperious self-made Mab, product of East End London poverty, works the legendary code-breaking machines as she conceals old wounds and looks for a socially advantageous husband. Both Osla and Mab are quick to see the potential in local village spinster Beth, whose shyness conceals a brilliant facility with puzzles. And soon Beth spreads her wings as one of the park's few female crypto-analysts. But war, loss, and the impossible pressure of secrecy will tear the 3 apart. 1947. As the royal wedding of Prince Elizabeth and Prince Philip, yes, the same Prince Philip, whips post-war Britain into a fever, 3 friends turned enemies are reunited by a mysterious encrypted letter, the key to which lies buried in the long-ago betrayal that destroyed their friendship and left one of them confined to an asylum. A mysterious traitor has emerged from the shadows of their Bletchley Park past, and now Osla, Mab, and Beth must resurrect their old alliance and crack one last code together. But each petal they remove from the rose code brings danger and their true enemy. Dun, dun, dun.
This is totally up your alley, and I'm so excited for it.
So good. I loved this book. I loved reading this book, so I'm so excited to talk more about it next month.
Well, that's exactly what I was saying, is you're going to be so excited for next
I'm
month.
super stoked.
Awesome. Well, as usual, we don't exactly upload our episodes on a regular basis.
Nope.
So the best way to know when we've done that is to subscribe. Yes, I know many other podcasts say that, but that's the best way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, Alexa, what is the best way for people to connect with us and to know what the hell is going on?
You can find us on YouTube and Spotify, both at Books, Booze, Murder. You can find us on the gram at Books, Booze, Murder. And you can find us on TikTok at Books, Booze, Murder Pod.
And until next time, bye-bye.
Doodles.